Welcome back to our 9th video in the 3D Racer tutorial series. Last time we worked on a skybox, we worked on making an array for our waypoints, and cleaning up a bunch of little small scripting errors or warnings that we were getting in our console. This time I'm going to try to make an end trigger event. So when we complete the number of laps that we're required to do, then we will have a audio cue to let us know that we won the race. I'll turn off all our controls and make a camera that spins around our player. Guys, I've had to re-record this video several times, mainly due to like small things that keep popping up along the way. And there's a bunch of little small details because we're manipulating a bunch of detailed kind of things. So please be really careful and take your time and check that you have everything selected, because if one thing's missing, then almost all of this falls apart, which is, I'm trying to think of another pipeline, another way to do this so it isn't so reliant or dependent on each other. But this, I think I figured out the best way to do it, but you just got to kind of pay attention to it. So let's start with just rethinking what our lap requirements are going to be. On your canvas, you have a lap panel, and that lap, sorry about Discord, I need to close that. Let me do that really quick. All right, on your lap panel, you have laps required, and I'm going to change that to 2. I'm going to reduce the amount of laps that we need to do, just to 2, something simple, and save that, so that we can kind of make it through the area once or twice. We want to do more than one just to see if it actually works the way we want it to. All right. So we're going to have a new camera. We currently have a camera follow object that has 3 cameras that switches in between. As a child of your car, you're going to create a new 3D object cube, and I will call this Finish Cam Focus. And this object is going to be the focus of our completing camera animation. So it's a child of our player, so it should be created right inside of it. And I'm going to drag that up on the Y to get it right above the car. And let's turn off our collider. We don't want a collider. We will keep our mesh render on here for now, just to see it as it tries to spin. And as a child of this Finish Cam Focus, I'm going to create a camera, which looks to be right inside of it. I'm going to name this camera Finish Cam. All right. Noted last time we talked about how audio listeners were in the scene. We had multiple because cameras come with audio listeners, and we added one to our car. So I'm going to take this one off so that we only have one in the scene, and save again. All right. So my Finish Cam itself selected, I'm going to move it up and back on the Z-axis, a little bit away from our car, and I want to rotate it. So E on your keyboard, or the rotate tool, and choose. We're going to rotate it on that X-axis, so the red ring. Rotate it down some. I want to move it a little bit closer and up, something like that. So this sort of like hits the edge of the camera is catching the back of that car, and save. And so this is going to be pretty simple. Our Finish Cam Focus object is going to rotate around the player, which will then rotate the Finish Cam since it's a child of the focus object. So we will make a new script called, oh, you know what? I didn't delete it from our last time of making this video. We're going to call it plus in your C# scripts. Sorry, your scripts folder. We'll call it in camera rotate. That's what I'm going to call it this time. End camera Finish Cam rotate, something like that. If you're not sure what I typed there, you can check right here in the inspector, or when I open it up, right here. End camera rotate. So first thing I try to think of, what are the things I need to know? I need to, like, what variables do I need? This is going to go on the object, so it doesn't need to have a reference to itself. We do want to know how quickly we want it to speed. I'm going to go public, and I'll make this a float. I'll call it camera rotate speed. What else do I need to know? I think that's it. When do I want this to happen? I want it to happen all the time whenever this object is on. So I'm going to get rid of the start and do this inside of the update. So in the update, I want the transform.rotate. We're going to tell it to rotate. And it says it needs a vector 3, so it needs X, Y, Z. And it needs to know the speed at which it's going to happen. So just to fill it in, I'm just going to put 0, 0, 0, and put a semicolon at the end. So the axis I want it to rotate on, I want the cube to rotate on its Y. So that'll be this one here. And I'll just put camera rotate speed in there. This is a public variable, so we can set that inside of Unity. So save, go back into Unity. And I want to do a better job of just adding scripts via the inspector instead of dragging and dropping. I've just noticed with my video game design 1 students, they tend to let go early and it gets on something and they don't know. So I want to get in the habit of just typing it in. So my finished camera focus object is what's going to receive this. So add component, and I called it in camera rotate. Let's set that rotate speed as a float. I'm going to try 1.5. 1, I tried it 1 earlier. It was too slow. 2 was a little too fast. Not bad, though. I'm going to save that. Right now, we can see that our display is currently on that camera, so that's fine. Let's just see if it keeps it. It should. See, that looks like a good sort of end of game camera kind of view to have. By the way, for the sake of the video, I just muted my audio temporarily in the game view. At the end, we're going to want to turn that back on, but I just wanted to handle that. Or, might even be better for me instead of muting audio, because I do need audio cues. I'm going to go onto my audio files, music, level music, and just turn that volume down a good little bit. Let's see what that sounds like. I want to make sure you hear me without blasting you out every time I turn the game on. Let's see. Yeah, that's okay. The car audio is still a little loud, but I don't mind that as much. All right, Command S to save. All right, so we have a camera that is doing that. Let's go ahead and turn off our finished camera. We don't need that mesh render anymore. We don't need to see that. So we need to download an audio cue to occur when we get to the end of the level. So I will give you a link to this thing called Win Lose Jingles. It has a couple different jingles pre-made in different styles, and you'll download that. I've already done that for this project, being that like I said, I've recorded it a few times. And when I got it imported, I put it in my audio folder, and then inside of there, a music folder, and Win Lose Jingles. And there's a couple different ones, different styles. If you click on it in your inspector, you should see right down here at the bottom, if you see the name, you can drag it up, and it'll give you this little preview arrow. Yeah, I'm not looking for anything that's kind of chiptune-y. What I settled on was an electronic 001. Yeah, that's kind of what I went with. So go back to your car, audio files, music, and add a empty, and I call this finish music. And I'm going to just drag Win Lose onto finish music, and it automatically adds that audio source. And I don't want this to be play on awake. We're just going to tell the source later on to just play. Make sure the looping's off as well. I'm going to turn my volume down just a tad and hit save. You don't have to turn your volume down. That's just what I ended up doing. Let's look. I want to make sure, by the way, along the way, I'm keeping my hierarchy nice and neat. So I have my managers down here. I put my wind zone above my managers. There's some walls, my tracker stuff. So I might just make a different environmental tab in just a bit. So this is where things get like a little more complicated. Let's go ahead and let's go ahead and do our finish the race script with everything we want to have happen when we win the race, and then we'll go back and make it so that we can. So let's go to scripts, and I'm going to create a new C# script called RaceFinish. Make sure I spell it correctly. Like that. Give it a second to add it to the assembly. RaceFinish. Open that up. All right. So here's a bunch of things we want to do. I'm going to put some comments in. You don't have to put the comments. I'm just going to do it for my own note taking. We want to turn our cars off. So turn our car off. Always do that backwards, right? And at the end right here, I'm gonna. Okay, we want to turn our enemy car off, so they're no longer driving. And so we're gonna turn it off for a second, and then disable a bunch of things on them, and then turn them back on. So we want to reduce our speed. We want to turn off the car controllers, which are in both cars, so I only need one reference for that. I need to turn on our finish cam, turn off our normal cams. All three of those are on an object. Turn off our level music. Turn on our finish music. Is that everything? I think that's all the stuff I need. Yeah, for now. And then later on, we will add a animation to fade whenever we finish that. Yeah, I think that's fine. Okay, so let's build out all of our variables. I'm just going to go to the next line so I don't accidentally delete that. So public. You know, I want to go ahead and get, so we're going to get a lot of errors here, but public game object. And this is our player car. And public game object, our enemy car 01. And public the car controller script. Oh, you know, I can't get car controller because I haven't accessed it up here at the top. So using Unity standard assets dot vehicles dot car. So now we can call the car controller. Just have it autocomplete for me. There you go. And just give it the same. We'll just call it player car controller. All right, so we turn off our enemy car, and we're going to reduce our speed with the car controller. And we'll turn off the car controllers. So all that's referenced. All right, and we do our cameras. So that was on a public game object. And then we called it camera follow. That's what's holding our original ones. I'll go above it because we're going to turn a camera on before we turn the other one off. Public game object, finish cam. All right, those two are done. And then our level music, public. Turn. This was on a game object. I'm just going to turn off that game object. That's just as easy. Level music. And then finally, public audio source. We're just going to tell the audio source to play whatever's attached to it, and we'll call this finish music. Done and done. Delete all that mess. All right. I'm going to not do this on awake. We'll talk about this in just a second. I'm going to leave void awake there. I'm going to get rid of the update. We're going to basically build a method to hold all this. So void race finish. This is not an IE enumerator because we're just going to trigger all of it at the same time. Race. Did I call it race? I called it race finish the first time I built it. Yeah. All right. So let's go through this again. Player car dot set active. So let's turn these off, both for our car and the enemy car. Then, okay, so we have our car and our enemy cars set inactive. Let's also make it so that there's no speed. So we're going to set it so that we, hit the player car dot get component. Oh, you know what? Before I do that, on our player car controller dot, the name of the variable was called top speed. There you go. Equals, and it was a float. So here's your F. All right, so turn our speed off. Let's get the component for the car controller. And maybe I don't need to do this step, but as I said, I've reworked this thing so many times, and I've had so many different approaches to this. It's a little bit sort of a spaghetti code, and I'm not quite sure anymore why I'm doing some of the things I'm doing, because I found that I got a bunch of like little tiny glitches when I didn't turn certain things on or off. So I'm just going to be extra safe, and there's no harm in me turning off the speed and then also turn off the script. I don't think that's going to be creating any issues for us. So I'd rather be safe than sorry. So we're turning off the car controllers after turning the speed down, at least on our player. We also have another script on our player called the car user controls, and I will turn that one off as well. Equals false. And then finally, on our enemy car, I'm just going to grab that line and paste it here, and it was called car AI controls. Was that what's the name of the script? No, what was it? Car AI control was the name of the script. All right, and after I've done all of these things here, I'm going to turn these back on. So I'm just going to copy and paste. True. Save that. All right, so we've done this top part. That's taken care of. Oh, you know what? Our cars also have this this audio playing. We don't want them to keep making noise when they're sitting there, even though they're not doing anything. So on our car in Unity, you have a car audio script. Let's open that up. And if you scroll down, there's a start sound, and then there is a stop sound. And for you, it might already be private. Change that private to public, because we want to just tell it to turn off its own sound. We're going to call this method here, destroy all the audio sources. It will find all the audio sources, destroy them, and also set this false for itself. So we'll just invoke that. So back on RaceFinish, once you turn that to private, we're going to say player. How much am I just going to paste? Oops, I don't want to paste. I forgot I copied the other one. So player car dot get component. The name of that script was called car audio, and we're going to tell it to open argument period stop its sound. And I will do the same thing for the enemy car. So copy, paste, but enemy car 01, turn off its audio. Next line, let's go ahead and make that component. So we're going to copy dot, turn off that audio source equals false. Do the same thing with the enemy car. Boom. 01, enemy car 01. So turning those off. All right, create a little space. So this is our turning off our cars, turn off all those controls, turn them back on, turn off their sounds, and turn off those components. Let's turn our cameras off. So let's turn our finish camera on first because we don't want a gap. Set active to be true. And press return. And then turn off our, what do we call it? Camera follow object to inactive so that we don't have our end cameras. Finally, last step, music. I can turn off our level music first. Public. Oh, not. Why did I do that? What was it called? It was our level music. That's right. Level music dot set active to being false. And our finish music dot. No, this was an audio source, so we're just going to tell it to play like that. Save. That should be our race finished. Everything should be laid out there. The last thing I want to add actually is one more line. I'm just going to turn this off because I found without setting this object that this is going to be on inactive, I might trigger it more than once, which is what I don't want to do. So I'm going to turn off we're going to build a game object over here to hold this script. And then instead of avoid start, let's do avoid awake. We're going to turn this object on, and we want to do this not whenever this object comes into the world. And we'll tell it to play race finished. We'll invoke it. I think for some reason race finish is held somewhere else. I think that looks good. I'm going to save that script. All right. Back in Unity, let's build an object to hold this. So create an empty, and I'll call it Finish Race Manager. Finish Race Manager, I'm going to put it below with my managers at the very end, and I'll give it that add component race finish. Now it needs to have a bunch of stuff assigned to its public variables. So car comes over here, enemy car 01 goes over here, put our player car into here. Our finish cam, which was a child of our car, finish cam focus right here, camera follow object, level music, which is a child of audio files, inside of the music parent, there you go, and then finish music, which is right beneath it. Save that. So these are all assigned, and I'm going to turn this finish race manager off. So disable that because we don't want that to be on when the game starts. We're going to need to turn it on. So when do we want to turn this on? Well, whenever we complete 2 laps. And we have a script that's already checking to see if we are completing laps, which is our lap complete script. So go into my scripts here and lap complete, which is on my starting trigger. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to remember that because I'm going to have to add some new, assign some more variables here. So lap complete. So we definitely want to know, well, we need to know how many laps we have to finish, right? So I'm going to go to, for me, line, oh, right here, I already have required laps. Did I add those in? I just added those in, I bet. Well, if not, if you don't have these, I can't remember if I add them in now or just, you know, I've been putting so many things in here. So public int finished or completed laps. We already had that. Okay, good. Sorry. There you go. But then below it, we need to have a public int required laps. Required laps is how many laps we need to finish. We also want to put public game object, and it was our finish race manager that we want to turn on. Done. So we want this to happen whenever our player hits the lap complete trigger twice. So right now is anytime someone hits the start trigger, it goes up 1. But we want this to be explicitly our player. So on envoy trigger enter, let's check for tags. So collider, collision, done. And we'll check for an if here. Yeah, let's just put if here for the whole thing. Yep. If collision dot game object dot compare tag, and that is an argument. The name of the tag we're looking for is player, and I'm just going to press return and open up a bracket there, and I'm going to scoot all the way down to, let's do it right. Gosh, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to do it right. Like line 74, press return. Do it in here. Yep. So you should have 1, 2, 3, save. So this will only happen whenever we hit the player tag. Let's check and make sure that is correct. Yep, that goes right there. Fantastic. Oh, you know, before we forget though, I am saved. Let's make sure our player does have those tags. All right. So our car should have the tag player. Got it. But you notice that right below it, there is a colliders object. And these are all untagged. So I'm going to go ahead and just shift click, make sure all of them are selected, and give them the player tag just to make sure. Save that. All right, go back into our script. So if we add 1, okay, if we hit the player, complete laps is +1. Let's check here. If the completed laps equals the required laps, which we need to set in the inspector, open up some curly brackets, then we will turn on our finish race manager dot set active to being true. All right. That should work. Saved. Now I need to sign those variables onto my starting trigger. So it needs to know the finish race manager so that it can set it active, and it needs to know our required laps, which I set to being 2, which is reflected here. Earlier I was having this weird issue with my was it half point trigger? Yeah. On my half point trigger script, it wasn't seeing my player colliding with it. So I am going to go ahead and fix this just for my own sake on my half point trigger. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to make that tag. Check for tag. Because I don't want, wait, is it collision? I forget. Doesn't matter what we call it actually. I'm just going to go like that. Press return if collision dot game object dot compare tag player. I don't want any of this to happen when it sees our enemy car. X V and save. I'm hoping that helps with it wasn't working the way it should. So I'm going to go test this. What you should be looking for is on your starting trigger, which I would just lock in your inspector. Let's just see if complete laps goes up by 1, and then check to see if this required lap occurs. And what should happen after this goes to 2, then you should be seeing your finished race manager tick upwards. All right, I'll see you after I run my laps. Oh, but you know, before I do that, it might be really helpful. Did I already turn off on my car? Turn off your finish cam focus, which I need to unlock. That camera should not be activated. Your finished music can be on because it's not playing on awake. But I think that was the only thing I left out there. Okay, let me try this again. I see that my lap counter went up to 1. So now let's watch and see if when I get around the track again, if this works the way I want it to. All right, let's see if this works. Hey, there you go. Audio is off. Player no longer moves. Guys, I'm not going to tell you, this feels good. After all the times I've had troubles with this script, this feels really good. I was noticing something while I was driving around, and I'm noticing something now. My lap timer is still going up. Let's fix that really quick. But also, my trees are sort of flashing. I think there's something with the billboarding on that. Let's fix our lap timer issue so they will go away. So you know what? Let's go to our lap time manager script. Let's make a Boolean. We haven't done Booleans. I don't know why I've stayed away from them in this video. So under line 17 for me, I'm going to press return twice. Create a public bool is race finished. And I like the naming convention of asking the question with Booleans, is the race finished? You know, at the beginning, when it comes in, we'll say, no, it's not. It's false. And inside of our update, let's just make that a condition of time going up. So millicount plus time.delta time is the thing that's counting upwards. So I'm going to go to line 22, press return, and I'm going to say if is race finished is equal to false. That's the only time that our counter will go up. Now, can I tell you guys a little secret? Some of you might know this. If you just press tab, this counts as the same thing as these two lines, like this being the if, and then this is the then part of the statement. If, then this happens. This only really works if you only have one line beneath it. So I could just, press return, and that would be finished. But I still want you guys to press return and use your brackets. For visually speaking, it makes it easier for you to keep up with what's where. And later on, if you want to add something in, it's much easier to do that if you already have the brackets there. There's no harm in doing it the other way. I just like, at this point, we're still learning structure of the code. I think it's great to just get in the habit of doing that. So Command S and save that. So I think I know what's going to happen. I already can foresee a problem though. So when the race is finished is false, then this will keep counting, and when it gets to the end, I bet what's going to happen is it's going to set it to 0 automatically. Because don't we reference that script in our, what script was it? Lap complete? Yeah, at lap complete, down here. Yeah, we set it to 0, and then we put the text up, which means we'll see zeros up there. So I think I need to pass through that Boolean into this script. So I'm going to say lap, right here, line 66 for me. Press return once. If lap time manager dot. Oh, you know what? I need to make it as a variable at the very top. Do I have to put the variable? Yeah, I do. Okay. Line 67. So I'm going to go back here to the top. And yeah, I don't have that up here. All right, line 22 for me. Press return twice. No. Let's just put it right here below required laps. Public lap time manager, and I'll just go put lap time manager script just to be consistent. Save that. Scroll down to now. What's now line 68 for me? Tab. If lap time manager script dot is race finish, that will let me see the boolean is false. This is the only time it will set it to 0 if the race is still going on. Open up some brackets and then cut. Command X, Command V, paste that. That should take care of that issue with the lap counter there. What I'm going to go do really quick is just check. So I'm very confident that I fixed that lap time from continuing once you get through there. I'm not going to play through it again. I know that it's probably going to work, being that I already made it once, even though it's been almost a week since I've tested it. I know that it's going to work. Real quick on my terrain manager. Terrain spawner. Go to my settings. Or is it under terrains? My billboard start went way down. If you're getting flickering, I think I tested it at like 550. I want to press play. Let's see if that fixes that flashing I was getting. Yeah, there you go. My trees aren't blinking into existence. So yeah, if you're having trouble with your trees and stuff not appearing like when you want to, look at my grass. My grass is starting really close to the car. Grass distance. Maybe I can go further out with that. Maybe that's what this is here. Let me go out. Let me try 550 for this too. All right, press play. I think that's what that is. I could be wrong. No, I don't see any grass over here. All right, I'm going to look into that just a little bit and see if I can figure out why my grass isn't billboarding any closer. Because it's showing up right near my car. I'll look into that. I got my trees worked by changing that billboarding, and I'll look at the grass billboarding. But I think this is a long enough video. I'm going to save here, and I will see you in video 10.